What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage here, and today I'm interviewing someone in my hometown of Portland, someone I've wanted to interview for a long time. Marc, what's up, bro?
Hey, Dave. How you doing?
I know Marc is Marc with a C, CEO and founder of...
Not CEO.
Founder?
Co-founder.
Co-founder, got that right.
Chief Creative Officer.
Chief Creative Officer of
1000 Watt.
Of 1000 Watt. So guys, subscribe to 1000watt.com. Many of you already do.
Correction. 1000watt.net.
Well, we're not going to edit this. We're getting it right
Hey,
here.
it's natural, man.
And you can tell this is my first time I've interviewed this guy. So I've read your blog for years. I mean, you guys do a great job of it. Every year you do some VIP event. I went one time.
We've done two. They are for clients, mostly clients only. Some invited guests and friends. It's not a conference. We put on more of a show. So we've done two. I don't know that we'll ever do that again.
Oh, you might not do that again?
It's a 6-month production.
Is it?
And if you really want to pull it off right and make it special and very different than anything in the industry, it requires a considerable amount of creative energy, and it's in a way sidetracks us from our jobs, which is to take care of client work.
Yeah, well, guys, I've been to a lot of events, and it's special. I mean, they created memories and moments that you won't forget. I mean, so check him out online, read his blog. He is a icon in the real estate industry. So in that event that he goes to, it's like a who's who of the real estate industry is there. Who are some of your clients? And tell everybody, just because that's the first time you've been in Mortgage Coach, a little bit about your backstory.
Okay, sure. So real quick, we started this company because we wanted to bring like a Madison Avenue level creative team to an industry that didn't have access to that level of skill set and expertise. I got my start at Y&R in New York, so I've got a long career in marketing and branding and advertising, and I love real estate, and so we've been around for 12 years, and we've worked with really some of the biggest brands in real estate. We helped Better Homes and Gardens. We were the agency that helped launch the brand. We've worked with Remax Corporate, a lot of work with Realogy, but we've also, and a lot of great brokerages in between, Michael Saunders and Company, Houlihan Lawrence, Coach Realtors on Long Island. I mean, there's just so many. I probably should remember every single one and recite to give them all fair airtime. But also middle-sized companies, small startups, a lot of tech vendors in the space, media companies. Anybody in real estate that wants to get their brand right and get their messaging and communication right, we built sort of the go-to place to do it.
They are, and I tell you guys, if you see a brand in real estate, they either consult with these guys or there's a fingerprint. They're reading their blog. They're paying attention to the brands that these guys work with. They are the leader.
We got some reach.
Yeah, you do. You really have some reach and influence. And so if you're watching this, you're probably a mortgage professional or you're a leader to mortgage professionals. And I want to have a conversation that would help you as a mortgage professional in terms of how you brand yourself, how you leverage modern media. But probably as important or more important, I want to help you be a better leader to realtors and help you bring some value. We're going to have a conversation that will do that.
Right.
So to me, the people that are doing it right, they understand that it's a new world. They understand that it is a technology-driven world. While you're not a technology guy, you get the fact that technology is changing home buying.
Oh, yeah.
And flash forward in 2027, I think the transaction will be unrecognizable. How a loan is sold how a home is sold and a loan is done. So it's more important than ever that if you're local, if you're referral based, you need to create an experience at the front end that people would write a check for. Like whether or not you're actually going to get a check before the transaction, it needs to have the level of service and experience and differentiation needs to have tangible value. We align on that, right?
To a degree.
Okay.
If we could unpack that just a little bit. I agree with almost everything you said. Where I'm still a holdout is I think in 2027, we're going to recognize what the transaction is. There will not be any ground-shaking, magical thing that's going to all of a sudden, and I know there's a lot of predictions around that, but that's less than 10 years away. Mm-hmm. And while there are technologies and applications that are working in the background helping professionals sort of manage the transaction, I think in 10 years, you're still, like, buyers and sellers will still apply for mortgages, mm-hmm. Have to buy and sell real estate using real estate agents. They may sign their name on a new kind of an application. Hopefully title will come on board and allow us to do some digital signatures rather than to waste paper. But I think in 10 years, I think even in 20 years, real estate's going to look a lot like it does still today.
Well, I agreed, where I think it changes is the battlefield. And I think the digital mortgage, the digital iBuyer, it takes away, like most of mortgage and real estate professionals, they've justified their comp because they're problem solvers. And it takes, used to take more than 30 days. Now you could do loans in 10 days. And I just think that the transaction part of the business becomes more consistent. And it's not a differentiator. Like to go to a consumer and say, hey, work with me because I have great rates and I can make things fast and easy. That's like, the fast and easy is the expectation, and it's automated. And so the differentiation has to be in your brand. It has to be in the quality of your advice, and so that's my whole premise is
I agree
advice.
Completely.
Okay.
If tech has and always has flattened, it takes a little bit of time, but eventually any new technology flattens the world, meaning at some point everybody starts using it. Like the first supermarket that ever deployed, automatic doors that open, mm-hmm. It was like, wow, there's this place in town that when you get close to the front doors, they open. Every other place you have to open the door yourself. Now, like, you don't have to do that at any supermarket or grocery store or mall or anything. It's going to take place in real estate. There are going to be transitional changes that will become so, like, ubiquitous. So then how do you build value when your value has been on some of the things you mentioned that end up getting sort of flattened by technology? You're going to have to find new ways in which to build value and meaning.
Yeah, and my whole thesis is advice is a leg of the stool. Like your advice has to have tangible and obvious value in a modern way. That means modern way, it needs to show up on a mobile device. It needs to, be omni-channel, meaning that text, email, video, it needs to play to the rules of today. But since you're, I talk about it all the time, you guys, I am Mr. Advice, Mr. Mortgage Coach, but you're Mr. Brand, and you're Mr. How do you show up like the first time I see you, like in the retail business, they look at the retail experience. It's like when I get out of the car, what do I see? So why don't you walk through mortgage and real estate? When does that brand experience start? And then I would love to, before this conversation is over, get some do's and don'ts from the master. And I want to also ask you like some brands to watch inside the space and some brands to watch outside. So let's rock.
It's a big question.
It's a lot.
I think the way to answer that is to start. You got to start at the fundamental, the truest core of where a brand begins, which is having a clear sense of what your mission is, or your purpose, same thing, what your why, as Simon Sinek would say. You need to know why you're here. And that why needs to be because I'm here to solve a certain problem, which is the reason why I'm adding my thing into the grand mix of all other competitors. What's the unique thing that I have discovered that I alone can solve that nobody else can? So that gets to the second thing. You need to kind of have your sense of mission, but you need to understand what, and I call it your superpower. What is the thing that you do that no one else can do? And if you have those two things, and they become really clear to you what they are, and you can have other things like core values, those are very important. You begin to then make a list of every single consumer touch point that you have. And if you really stop and think about what that list could be, it's well, sure, it's going to be the obvious, a business card, a website. But it's also like
email signatures.
Yeah, the email signature, which we should talk about that because nobody gets that right.
Let's make sure we give some, because I see that all the time. I'm just like,
nobody
oh my
gets
gosh.
that right.
You know?
But it's also like things like if I email you and I get an autoresponder, what does that autoresponder say? Is it just an automated response that would sound like an AI did it, or is it a human response that has your tone, your voice, that has your intention, that has your perceptions of why I probably inquired baked into the response? It could be voicemail. If I call your cell phone or I call your phone, whatever, and I get a voicemail, what does that say? Does it say, hey, I'm either on the phone or away from my desk, leave me a message, which then tells me you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where you are, you don't know what you could be doing, and neither do I, and I have no idea when you're gonna call me back. So like, by understanding your strength, by understanding why you're here, and finally by really, really understanding who your customer is and why they need you, if you have those three things in place, you begin to establish or build brand assets that extract that use those things as ingredients, and then articulate that through words, through design, and through strategy. The days of like banging that stuff out yourself because you think you can is not a good idea, because if you consider yourself like a master at mortgage, then that aura of mastery should be then articulated and disseminated through your stuff. If your business card is cheap, if your website is cheap, if your logo looks like it was designed on 99 Designs and it's not very good, then this mastery that you think you are won't come across to somebody who sees that. They're going to assume you're something less than that. So it's, this is why brand agencies exist. You hire other masters to help you manifest your mastery using these fundamental things.
So guys, I think a lot of us have heard the get clear on your why. I talk a lot about how there's riches and niches, and if you're a referral-based local mortgage professional, I really believe if you want to have a sustainable, snowball-like mortgage practice that's just getting bigger and bigger, and if you want the next 10 years to be better than the last 10 years, you need to have a niche. You need to have that focus of who you are and what you're doing. I like the way you said superpower. I'm going to be using that all the time now.
Yeah, I don't know that I actually coined it, but...
Yeah, no, you coined it. We're going to call it, guys, in the mortgage coach community. We're going to like, hey, do you have your why? Do you have your value prop? And does everybody know what their superpower is? And how are you articulating your superpower personally, internally, and to your customers? So one ask right now, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this in our Facebook group, and you want to put yourself out there, what's your superpower? What do you think your superpower is? Put it down below. That was cool. That was a great takeaway. Before we go on to one more topic.
Can I add to that a little bit? Because that's good advice. If any of you read the Simon Sinek book, or...
Everybody in the mortgage coach. I talk about Simon all the time.
Okay, so he's created this sort of structure of the why, how, and the what. And so we're all clear that what you do is all the same. Why you do it is going to be a really important internal differentiation. I don't really necessarily care why you do what you do, because that's personal to you. And that care may be because I want you to get the best mortgage possible. That's cool, but that's not enough to grab me or hire you, or in any business, to pay whatever I'm going to spend for that mission in life. What people pay for, what people really want, is the how. It's that little middle section that Simon didn't spend a whole lot of time on. That how you derive that final result, how you deliver your services, is what I would call your superpower. And by really getting clear on what that is and leveraging that in your messaging and marketing in a creative way, gets to the core of how you can truly, because your superpower is truly your own. I would argue that your why may be shared by lots of other people in your industry. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people passionate about this industry, and their whys are all kind of the same, but their superpowers are not. And that's really a great place to think about how to hone messaging and marketing and use that as sort of your lead in to why I should pay you. It's for that expertise.
So I'm not going to ask the next question because we're 15 minutes into this, and I hope I get to interview you again.
You can edit.
Yeah, but I like love where we're at,
Okay.
and we could do another one of these one day, at least hopefully. So guys, we talk about that all the time, the why and the how, and I think you're going to align with me. But if you don't, let's debate. I think in today's world we need to this is what I do and why I do it, and then we need to visually, in a multi-sensory way, show how.
Yeah.
And that's why. And again, for anybody who hasn't listened to me or heard some of my interviews, I did interview Simon Sinek. I'm going to put a link down below. I've interviewed a lot of different folks, but this multi-sensory experience, when we can say something and then we can show them, maybe you pull out your mobile phone, you show it. Maybe it's digital. Maybe after you meet with them, it's a combination of the text, the email, the video, even like text video. We see so many people in our community right now, they'll meet with a realtor, they'll talk to them. They might talk about, hey, how I'm gonna help you sell more homes by being a better marketer. But then when they leave, they'll send them a text video. That's showing that I'm using media, I'm using video. And so they're creating this multi-sensory, multi-channel experience. Speak to that. I mean, do you like that?
I love that. I have learned from experience, and this is even my own experience, because I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've built lots of companies over the years. What I've learned is that there's a lot I don't know, and there's a lot I'm not good at. And even some things that I am good at, I'm not good at doing it for me. And so, for instance, we're going through a whole entire rebrand at 1000 Watt. I designed our first logo. I'm not designing our evolution.
Not the new one.
The whole entire design department, free and clear of me. I'm not even looking at it until they're done, because it's not the thing I do best. I learned that through self-exploration. My point is, it's not always that easy to nail what your superpower is. You may think you know, but there are processes, and this is another reason why outsourcing that type of branding work to somebody who knows how to ask these kinds of questions to help you figure out what that power is, tie it to what your core expertise is. So that agent who sends out that video message, that's good for the agent who knows how to do that, who's comfortable with that. There are lots of agents that aren't comfortable with that, and that's not a superpower for them. So what they need is another way to do this multi-sensory thing that fits into their comfort zone or their expertise zone. So to thumbnail it, you might need help trying to figure out what specifically that superpower is. It needs to be something that people want to buy and access. And then you need to learn the myriad of ways in which you can exploit that using both tech and both interpersonal things.
So guys, this has been a great interview. I want to make sure you guys net out a few things. This is a time to schedule some quiet time. We call them jam sessions. And it's great that you watched our call or the video. Maybe you watched the whole thing, maybe you watched some of it. Schedule a time, work on your why, even if you haven't documented. I think the way Marc described it, and when he really expanded the touch points, I think every mortgage professional, local referral based, that wants the next 10 years to be better than the last 10 years, you need to audit your touch points. You need to audit, review your value prop. And everybody on here is not going to be able to hire someone to come up with your superpower. Come up with your superpower, document it. Remember, I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, so I believe that every family who gets into mortgage debt should get more than a fee worksheet. That's your monthly payment, your APR, your cash to close. That's a transaction. And you know what? Internet companies, disruptors, everybody can do that. If you want to win in the future, you need to do what Amazon can't do, what Amazon and Zillow can't do. And you need to do what they can do, and you need to deliver advice. So total cost analysis. Marc, if people want to reach out to you, one, to consider engaging your firm, and two, just to read your content, what would be the best ways to connect?
It's 1000watt.net, and the blog is that address /blog.
By the way, it's WATT.
WATT. Just
1,000. Don't that's what the
1,000.
1,000.
Watt, just 1000. If you could take your camera, because you mentioned something for a second, And just, this is our board
Guys, check it out.
of work that we're on. But look, we're doing a rebrand and we've just completed a major audit on ourselves.
Love that.
We practice what we preach, but that's great advice that you would say that.
Yeah, so.
You know, we work in radio and they're pretty big in the mortgage business.
Yeah, kind of big. Dot Loop, they did the Dot Loop logo, and I know a lot of this
The
stuff
whole entire campaign for that.
because I've been following these guys for years, and you know, they just do an incredible job. So go to their website,
Thank you,
read their
everyone.
blog. I'm going to put a link down below. Dude,
Thank you very much, David.
take care of you
Good
guys.
luck, everybody.
Oh, by the way, like this, share it with your mortgage friends, and I think this would be something to watch with your realtor partner. So maybe schedule some time and watch some of this video with your real estate agents. Take care.